Hi, I'm Mark Graham, Engineering Manager here at Grilla Grills. Today I'm going to teach you how to swap out the auger motor on the Grilla. Alright, so the first thing we got to do to get the auger out is we got to go to the rear service panel, take that off, cut some ties. That's going to give us access to the auger motor itself. We're going to unplug it, and then there's going to be one screw at the bottom that removes the whole auger assembly, and I'll show you how to do it. Alright, so the first thing we got to do is remove this rear service panel to get us to the harness, and we can cut some ties, and that'll give us access to the components. All right, now that we got this freed up, you can see these wires are all bundled together, so I'm simply going to use a pair of side cutters and carefully. All right, so now that I got this freed up, now we got some room to work. All right, so the next thing to do here is find our auger motor, which is our black and red going to our white and red. Simply unplug this. There's one screw at the bottom, and we're going to take a Phillips screwdriver, remove that screw. This whole thing will slide out. I'll show you in a minute. Make sure your hopper is empty here, guys. All right, so I got the screw out. I'm simply going to slide this out. A couple things to point out. You'll see this little plate on here. You kind of got to work around. This is your anti-rotate plate. You will see this motor just floats around in the back. This plate should be facing this way. When you go to put it back in, that keeps this motor from rotating around. Another thing, if you're just replacing this bushing, if that bushing got bad, or if you're just replacing the motor, this screw and nut here, you simply take that off. That separates these two. You can slide this bushing right off, replace that if you need to, or put your motor back on, put the screws back on, and you're good to go. When you go to put it back in, you have to work this around that panel just a little bit, but just make sure your motor's hanging down, your kickers is to the left, and when you go to put it back in, this screw hole here in this bushing needs to line up with that hole that you took it out. So the trick here is to get this at the 6 o'clock position, and when you go to slide it back in, looking underneath, when you see that hole line up with a hole, then you're good to go. So it takes a little bit of effort here to get everything lined up. Slowly slide it in, watch the clearance hole, and once you see it, put the screw in and you're all set.